Contrary of what the title might say, I really enjoy playing single player games. The feeling of discovering a new world and the history of said world is just really intriguing to me. Throw in some good music and a good sense of scale and you made my game of the year. Though I really like playing multiplayer games with friends, it's just nice to sit back, chill a little bit and play a single player game by myself from time to time. This applies to a lot of different genres as well. You got open worlds, Metroidvanias, Souls-like. They all give that same feeling of discovery that I really enjoy. Now this comes with a problem that I want to talk about. You can only discover something for the first time once. If you do it again, you already know what to expect. Whether if you already know the story, if you know the world from the back of your hand, or if you know all the boss's moves to the point where you can just defeat him without being able to hit yourself, it all comes back to not being able to do it for the first time again. Most games fix this, with expansions, multiple ways to play the game, or just making the game big enough to never really be able to discover everything. But this is a part of gaming that I really hate, even though no one can really do anything about it. And to be honest, this sucks, because I want to experience it the first time again, or at least get that same feeling, but I just can't. Now, that being said, let's go through some games and see where this problem resides and why it personally annoys me so much. Let's start with the game from the intro. Like I said, this is one of, if not my favorite game ever made. This game had everything for me. It had a very pretty art style, it had fantastic music, very cool bosses to fight, and of course, a beautiful and enormous world to discover. This game really makes you feel small in a big world. Around the game, you can find massive statues in the background that, even though it's a 2D game, makes you feel like you're in a massive room. When you enter a brand new area, new music will play, there are new enemies, and the entire atmosphere kind of changes. Going through this game for the first time was a whole adventure of its own. The story and the lore of Hollow Knight was a bit more obscure, so I did have to watch YouTube videos afterwards to truly understand it. But for me, that wasn't the focus of Hollow Knight at all. The world was. Still, when I watch videos of this game or I just hear like music again, I just get hit with waves of nostalgia. Now, here comes my problem with the game. I'm not able to discover new areas, fight new bosses, hear new music or anything. I've already seen everything. Even though I'm more than satisfied at what this game gave me, I'm so eager to get more. And it doesn't really seem like Silksong will be releasing anytime soon. From time to time, I restart the game and hope to just get the same feeling again that I did when I played it for the first time. But when I get to the third area around Fungal Waste, I just get bored and I already know what to do and I shut it off. I realize that I already know what to expect from the game and everything is too familiar for me, there's nothing new anymore, so I just don't play it. Now, there are mods for this game, like Randomize for example, but it doesn't change the way you play the game. I already know the essentials to get and where to get them, so they don't really work for me. Hollow Knight is probably the game I've played the most in this list. This game takes about 30 hours to complete, up to 60 hours if you want to 100% it, but I have close to 200 hours in this game. So if this video is about replayability and how I find it hard to replay games that I've already played before, how do I still have so many hours in it? Well, that's mostly because of two achievements, Steel Soul and Embrace the Void. I am a completionist, and seeing that little medal on Steam when you complete all the achievements just gives me dopamine. Also, it feels like I haven't seen everything if I don't have all the achievements, so sometimes that could cause some replayability for me. For Steel Soul, you have to 100% the game while on Steel Soul mode, which basically just means you are not allowed to die. But Embrace the Void is where I got the most hours in. It essentially just wants you to complete the final boss rush mode of the game, called Pantheon of Hollownest, and as a little bonus, the creators made the final boss extra difficult for this specific boss rush mode. This took a long time, but eventually I got it done. Even though I already completed the game by then, the achievements gave me a reason to replay it and gave me some replayability for it. I don't think that after I got the Embrace the Void achievement, I played the game longer than 1 hour at a time. I boot up the game, get hit by waves of nostalgia, and then just get bored and stop playing the game. I loved and still love this game, but I just cannot play it again. Or at least not with the same feeling I had when I played it for the first time. I don't think it's a secret that the Portal games slap. For me, there are two parts that got me into the game and also made me want to finish it. The gameplay and the story. Let's start with the story first. In Portal 1, the story is, once again, pretty obscure. Like even when you finish it, there's still a lot of questions to be answered. You don't know who you are, where you are, who this robot lady is who keeps talking shit to you.
If you become lightheaded from thirst, feel free to pass out.
And what is this cake she keeps talking about? After playing the first game, I already tried looking up YouTube videos about the lore, but my friends told me to wait and play Portal 2 first. And so I did. And oh my god, this was so cool. You know that feeling in games where NPCs tell you of a world or an event that happened, and you're like, oh, I really want to see that, but you never get to see it? Well, Portal 2 fucking lets you see it. You walk around the old abandoned Aperture Science with its earliest testing grounds, old offices, whiteboards with random equations, photos of old employees, everything. This is the kind of storytelling I love. And it doesn't even stop there. If you're done with the games and you still want to know more, you can watch YouTube videos about it. The story of the Red Man, what happened with Cave Johnson and his wife, Caroline, everything. This way of storytelling, where you're walking around in the history itself, is so cool and my favorite way of storytelling there is. Sadly, in the end, there's only so much story one can put into a game. After countless videos, I learned everything and know everything, and I was done. If you only play Portal for the story, then eventually you'll just get and experience everything. Luckily, there's another reason that the Portal series is so good, and the second reason why I really love this game. The same way how the story shines, the gameplay is just as satisfying and rewarding. I cannot really explain with words why the gameplay is so satisfying. It just is. Like, I can tell you that it's really fun to fly around in portals and feeling like a genius when solving rooms, but to truly experience it, you just have to play it yourself. Surprisingly, because of the gameplay, I have found some replayability into the Portal games. And that's all because of the co-op mode in Portal 2. I first played it with a friend of mine 4 years ago, and I even made a YouTube video about that back then.
Oh, come.
Let's not use cum again, let's just use glue.
5 minutes later.
Oh, more cum!
Yes.
Let's just cum everything that's cummable.
Although there's a bit of story in the co-op mode, the same rule applies here. I won't constantly replay the co-op mode just because of the story, because eventually I already know it. Though from a gameplay perspective, this game mode really helps. Now, every time I learn that a friend of mine hasn't played the co-op mode yet, I replay with them all the time, even if they haven't played the base games yet. This way, because the gameplay is so fun and satisfying, it makes me want to replay the game. Of course, you can take this very far and say you won't replay the co-op mode with the same friend again. And though this is true, I still count it as replayability in my book. And to be honest, I'm just glad, because I'm so happy that I'm able to find replayability in a game like Portal, because it's so fun to play. Now, Cyberpunk is very different than the other two games we just discussed. It's an open world game, which means you're almost always able to do whatever you'd like. There are tons of different builds to try, from a ninja katana throwing dagger stealth build to a gorilla arm shotgun mass destruction build. This game has a way to play for everyone. The problem with Cyberpunk though resides in me and not the game. As context, I love playing games in a stealthy way, whether it's optional or a requirement. For example, in games like Payday 2, where sometimes it's an option to play stealth, it's a requirement to play stealth or a requirement to play loud, I always play stealth. I don't even play the loud missions because I just don't find them fun. There's just something so satisfying about playing sneaky. It requires more strategy and planning ahead, and picking people off one by one is just so satisfying to me. Back to Cyberpunk, my love for playing stealth makes me only want to go one build, maybe with some variety in small sections. My favorite way to play the game is to grab the silent sniper, a thrown dagger and a katana and just play stealth. I don't like picking the big noisy destruction builds because it just feels so brain dead to me. Just run in, guns blazing and destroy everything and everyone in sight. It removes the strategy, which is the part that I find fun in Cyberpunk. Sometimes it also feels like Cyberpunk wants you to play in a stealthy way with all the cyberware, which allow you to distract, sabotage or even kill enemies from a distance without any detection at all. Besides the build aspect, Cyberpunk 2077 has a beautiful world to discover. There's so much to learn and find about the world and the history of that world that it sometimes can even feel overwhelming. It helps that I'm a huge nerd for lore and also a completionist, so for me it's very fun to discover and search for these things, but I can understand how that's not fun for everybody. The same thing counts here as for Portal though. Once I found everything and I learned everything, there's no reason for me to come back to it, because I already know what there is to find. The story missions are also pretty long. This is fun for me for a first playthrough, because it really helps with the immersion for the story. I actually really praise Cyberpunk for the way they handle the story. It isn't filled with useless go do quest, kill few guys, wow XP, wow new weapon type missions. It's a one continuing story with loving characters and ups and downs. And it's really fun to go through on the first playthrough. If you want to replay the game though, just to try a different build or whatever, these long missions can feel like a burden. In these playthroughs I just want to skip through the story and get to late game to try my new weapons, but late game in Cyberpunk starts kind of late into the game. Once again, this is fine if you're in the first playthrough, because along the story you get stronger and stronger and try new weapons. But if you want to start a new save file just to try a different build, this can feel very long and slow and it's kind of boring. This makes it, at least for me, very unattractive to replay the game. Fuck, I love this game. I don't think it's a big surprise that Elden Ring is a fantastic game. The world, beautiful. The weapons and spells, cool and strong. The story, if you know From Software, you know they like to make the story very obscure and put it in different places in the world. But when watching YouTube videos about it, I can say I like the story. The character design? I mean, it's the best part of the game. I mean, look at him. It's a fucking walking, talking pot. No, but real talk, this game is so cool. It deserved Game of the Year by a long shot. And with the DLC and Night Rain, which Night Rain still haven't to come out while I'm writing this video, it's looking like it's only getting better. The only complaint I truly have is that it doesn't have built-in co-op, but I mean, there's a pretty stable co-op mod for it. Just like Portal, co-op is the way I've mostly played this game and how I found the most replayability in it. Once me and a friend both figured out we both really liked Elden Ring, we played it in co-op and it's one of the best experiences I've ever had. Already in this first run we struggled with what ending we wanted for the first playthrough. We decided to go with the gold mask ending because my friend is just obsessed with that dude. I really wanted the Ronnie ending, so right after we did another playthrough. We went for new builds, new weapons, new drip of course, and a whole new ending. After that second playthrough we still were not satisfied, so we replayed the game 5 more times. For every run we did new weapons, new builds, new clothing, everything. Of course, we did all the endings, and after we were done, we were tired. Happy, but mostly tired. This journey was so fun, and I got so many funny clips from it.
Moeilijk worden. Ik ga de claw talisman gewoon doen. Kan ik niet beter gewoon dit doen? Oh my god, ik ben helemaal in die fucking top.
Er zit ook Fucking Man op de achtergrond. Broeder, wat?
Huis!
Jezus, die was eng.
Hup,
Yo, zie je dat ene eiland daar rechts?
hup. Oh nee! Oh. Zo dan? Ja, got it.
Hij mist echt alles. Auw! Nee! Oh, oh, oh! Zag je dat? Zag je dat?
What the fuck?
Nee! Hier, volgens mij is hier een secret waar je stiekem doorheen kan. Hieronder. Wat doe je allemaal? Kom gewoon even.
But we did so much and we did it so long that by the end we were just tired of it. This was really unfortunate because not long after the DLC came out. Don't get me wrong, I was so fucking excited for the DLC. A new world, new characters, new bosses, new weapons, new drip. I mean, this was everything I wanted from Elden Ring. I had seen and done everything, so this DLC was my savior. Once the DLC got released, me and that friend went for another run. The journey to even get to the DLC was so boring and tiring that we just gave up. We did so much Elden Ring that by the time we went for this playthrough to get to the DLC, it was just not fun anymore. For context, the DLC starts at around the midpoint of the game after you defeat Moog. But to even get to Moog was such a struggle for us because it felt like we had to drag ourselves through the game that it just wasn't fun anymore. I still want to play the DLC. I don't want to do it alone because I find that boring, but I also don't want to get through the base game first. Now, I could just load up a save where I already have all the weapons, but that just feels like cheating to me. Conclusion is, I've done everything. I might in the future play the DLC sometime or just return to this game in general, but for now I'm done with Elden Ring. I've seen and done everything, and I'm tired of it. This game is kind of the same as Elden Ring to me, as to why I'm not playing it anymore. But before I talk about that, I really want to talk about why I love this game. It's like one of these subjects you hope people ask you about because you just love talking about it. This game is so good and I'm really attached to it on a personal level. And even more importantly, not at all comparable to Minecraft. That's why I won't compare it to Minecraft a single time this video. I promise. Just like Elden Ring, I played almost all of my hours in Terraria with friends, mainly with the same friend that I played Elden Ring with. Back when we started, I had never played it before, so he fully introduced it to me.
What the fuck? Break them, John!
This is where I found my main of the melee guy in the group. From this day onward, when we played games with some sort of classes or different weapons to use, I was always the melee guy with swords, hammers, fists, whatever. I just found the risky but high damage aspect really interesting and really fun to play. Get tanky and do a lot of damage. We first did a normal run through the base game and then another playthrough with a higher difficulty. After finishing Terraria twice, we decided to install the well-known Calamity mod. With this mod we once again beat the game twice, the second time on a higher difficulty. After finishing both playthroughs, we ran into the same problem as we did with Elden Ring, where we just knew everything about the game and it wasn't really fun anymore. I still did a solo run on Calamity Infernum, which is an add-on mod to Calamity, which is just way harder and way cooler. Terraria has such a big and refreshing world when you first start playing. This is a perfect game to introduce your friend into, with a bunch of weapons, bosses and combat systems. That's why I recommend playing this game with a friend for a first playthrough, especially if the other friend has already played it before. Normally, I'd say it's better to play with a friend who hasn't played it before when you're both new, but with Terraria that's not the case. There's just so much information about the game, about the weapons and the bosses, that you have to look up what weapons you have to use and where to get them. For some people this could be a turn-off in a game, but for me it feels like doing research on a subject you're really interested in, and I really like it. You can of course still play with the weapons you find along the way or that you find really fun to use, but doing the research is something that I really enjoy. Having 15 tabs open in your browser about what weapons to use, where to get them and where to get the materials, is just really fun to me. The mods of Terraria actually gave me some replayability into the game. If you remember, mods didn't really work for me for Hollow Knight because it's just a way harder game to make good and big mods for. Terraria is a simple pixel art game. This makes it easy for modders to make big expansion-like mods. For example, Calamity. These mods really makes the game feel like a sequel or, well, an expansion. There are a bunch of new weapons, new biomes and even fully fleshed out new bosses. Even when you replay the game, it really feels like you're playing something new with new stuff to discover. Of course, some mods weren't as good or fun to me, but that's just a personal preference. I played the game, played the mods, and I really liked and really enjoyed it. Terraria is the kind of game which you never really leave, you just take long breaks in between, just like Minecraft. Shit. I promised. In that way, I'm just in one of those long breaks right now. For now, I'm done with Terraria, but maybe in a couple of weeks or even a couple of months, I'll be down for another run. That might be the base game, some new mods, or even a mod I've already played before. I guess we will just have to see. I loved all the games we just talked about from the bottom of my heart. They are all special to me for different reasons. These are some of my favorite games ever made and I will always recommend them to people. Even if it's just to give them a try. And even though I don't play them right now, they will always hold a special place in my heart. I keep on moving on, play different games, playing different mods, and I will always enjoy playing them. Thank you so much for watching this video. I've been working on it for a very long time, longer than I had initially thought it would take. It took a lot of time and it's probably the biggest project I've ever worked on. I really enjoyed making and editing this video and I'm already working on the next video, but these videos take a lot of time, so it might be a while until it comes out. This video is far from perfect and I still have a lot to learn, but if you have any tips or tricks, make sure to let me know in the comments, I'd really appreciate it. But if you want more right now, I also stream on Twitch. Sometimes. I try to keep a sort of consistent schedule, but I just stream whenever I really feel like it. Make sure to check it out sometime. If there's one thing you should take away from this video, it's that multiplayer games suck. I mean, Overwatch 2 is only alive because they brought 6v6 back. Marvel Rivals, don't even get me started on Marvel Rivals. Marvel Rivals ass. Apex Legends is probably in the worst state it's ever been in, and League of Legends.
Yes, this stop, can't do shit. You can catch me on the blacktop lanes, I split. Hit him with a step back, made it with a step back. UFC highlights with the range I kick. Like that, what's that, WhatsApp, yo. Funds messing off like a jetpack. Got a big head and I got a big ego, big hair, brain blast. You can catch up now.